Well, good morning. This is Ryan Holk with another weekly edition of Ask Rad Ideas, where each week I answer communication questions coming from people in my audience. And really, my goal with all of this is that I help churches to develop marketing and communications that get noticed so that people hear their message and they respond. So in all of this, that's my goal in helping you out by answering some of your communication challenges, your communication questions. And before I dive into things, I would love to let you know that I would be willing to answer any questions that you have, and you can submit them to me with the hashtag AskRadIdeas on Twitter, or you can visit my website, rad-ideas.com/AskRadIdeas, and submit a question that I will answer on a future episode of Ask Rad Ideas. So this question comes, and it says, not everything needs to be communicated to everyone. So what is the easiest way to target the exact demographic for the communication each needs to hear? Now I have to start by saying you are on the right track here by recognizing that not everything needs to go out to everyone. That is a huge thing that a lot of people, a lot of churches struggle with, is they feel this need that they've just got to get every piece of information into everyone's hands. And you're right that it doesn't have to happen that way. So here's the way that I figure out how I'm going to reach people. Okay, because the majority of things don't connect with or don't apply with everyone. So I start by asking three questions. First one is, who am I trying to reach? With this communication, who is it that needs to have this information? What's their age? What's their demographic? Are they male? Are they female? Maybe what's their place in life? Anything that would help me to really dial into who I want to meet in this communication. And then I ask, where do they spend time? Are they spending time online? Are they using social media? Are they using text messaging? Are they phone, email? Essentially, what are they doing on a regular basis to get information that's already a part of their regular life, where if we spoke into that area, it wouldn't be evasive or invasive. We wouldn't be asking them to go to a different source. It's something they'd already be doing. And then how do they communicate on a regular basis? How are they passing information back and forth amongst themselves already? And some of this does tie into where they're spending time, but it at least gives me a little bit better idea of how I can best use some of those resources. And something to think about is this, is an older congregation member, like they're going to mostly get their information like newspaper, weekly bulletins, personal invitations, phone calls, things like that. Okay. Whereas a younger generation is going to get their information in email, text, social media, web, and honestly, with even the younger crowds, email is even not really being used as much. But if I put a youth event into the bulletin, really the youth are never going to see it. And as much as we think it's a great idea, we might hit some parents with it, but the youth themselves are never going to see it. So if I was going to put something about a youth event into the bulletin, I wouldn't write it like I'm trying to reach a student. I'd write it like I'm trying to inform the parents. Okay? But if I want to reach the students, I'm going to send some text messages out. I'm going to maybe send an email. I'm going to use social media predominantly, probably Twitter and Instagram more than Facebook even. And I'm going to text them to get a much higher response and give them ways to respond back to me through those mediums. But at the same time, if I'm going to email an older portion of our congregation and expect a high response rate, that's probably not going to happen either, especially as I mentioned, say the retirement age or something where email is not as much a piece of their life. They might have email, but it's not their preferred communication platform. So when I think about how they're communicating, what is the preferred communication that they would use? And then I take those three questions and I think, okay, based on who I'm trying to reach and what we want to say, how are we going to deliver these communications? And I pick them then. So the way to target your exact demographic for your communication is just to look at who you're trying to reach and speak only on those channels that they already use. Don't expect someone to jump communication channels and then wonder why it didn't work. Okay, so be intentional about what you're saying in each of those areas to the group that's already using them, and it will help you tremendously as you share your message. There's no reason to put something out on 8 different ways if the people you're trying to reach are only listening to 2 of them. Be specific, use those 2, and be strategic about it. You'll save your time, you'll save your frustration. It'll make a huge, huge difference. And if you aren't sure where those people are spending their time, find a couple that you can just be really honest with and tell them what you're trying to accomplish, and start asking, what would you respond to? What would help? It'll make tremendous strides as you move forward.
If you've got a question you'd like to submit for Ask Rad Ideas, visit radideas.com/AskRadIdeas to submit your question.